Hey friends. I had this not really epiphany. I can't, that'd be going a little far. And I've spoken about this in previous posts, but I had this flash the other day. For some reason, I'm remembering that I was standing in an elevator, maybe in the hotel. We were on vacation. I went camping. We're off the grid for a couple days, and things come through your mind when you're off the grid, as many of you probably know. But I had a flash about piano as meditation. I talk about, I teach piano very much as a meditative discipline, as a mindfulness practice. That's the approach I take with my students, in my own practice, with my daughter, to the extent that I can do that in a family context. Lots of other variables at play there, but that's kind of my thing, is treating this instrument, treating music and the piano specifically because it's my instrument, as a form of meditation. And what I realized, my flash, which I think I've even probably posted about this before, the thing about silent meditation is that, it's the most important thing you can do. I'm not knocking it, and it is the cornerstone of all practices in my life. Silent meditation, stillness, resting in stillness, resting in non-time for ideally extended periods of time. Definitely 2 thumbs up plus. Do that with your time. And piano, as a form of meditation, gives us a reference point for how deep our meditation is in this moment. Because piano, because of the externally visibleness, audibleness of the music we're making, we can't fool ourselves. Silent meditation, if there's any disadvantage to it, which is also, of course, at the same time the advantage, it's that other than if you're living in a kind of monastic or sort of guru-disciple relationship where you have consistent oversight and consistent reflection on your meditation, silent meditation is kind of everybody's own affair. And it's easy to get the feeling, oh, I'm just resting in the bliss of the infinite. But actually just kind of thought surfing about resting in the bliss of the infinite, or otherwise being caught by distractions that are actually not connection to source, that are actually not connection to pure consciousness. And unless we have reflection, unless we have a community or a sangha or a guru or just some really good friends who are spiritual fellow travelers, it can be hard to get a reference for how our meditation is going. But piano, it's instantly visible, instantly audible. You can immediately tell how deep someone is going when they're playing piano. And it doesn't mean they have to be an advanced pianist. It's not at all about level of skill on the instrument, level of experience with the instrument, level of proficiency. None of that really matters. All that matters is what is our connection? How deeply, how fully awake and aware and present are we being with the instrument? And it's if we're paying attention, it's very palpable to ourselves, but it's also very visible to other people. So if we sit down at the instrument and play for other people, that's going to get seen. That's one of the things about performance, that I talk about performance when I teach. It's one of the things that performance does for us, is it lets us know how deep we're really going in our practice. Because if we're not going that deep in our practice, then in performance, we will feel that. And the added consciousness in the room, the kind of thickness of the air in the room, of people witnessing what we're doing, will show up the fact that there's kind of lack of depth, or just like work remaining to be done at the instrument. That's one of the services that performance does for us. And little by little, we get more and more conscious of what performance feels like, and then we can apply that same level of consciousness in our practice, because we know what it feels like, and we can anticipate. Even if I'm sitting alone in a practice room, nobody can hear me in the entire world, but I know what it will be like to be in front of an audience. I know what it will feel like to have someone witness what I'm doing. So now that just becomes a natural part of what of my practice, and I know what level of security, what level of depth I have to get to with whatever I'm working on in order for it to stand up to that level of observation. So piano is like meditation that can be witnessed, and that can be almost, the word that comes to mind is scrutinized, although that's not really the right word, because it's not so much about leveraging judgment against what we're doing. That's not at all the idea, but it is about marshaling presence. And when we go out of presence, when we slip out of presence, the instrument will tell us that. And when we slip out of presence with people watching, we will feel it. it's that becomes, in some ways, the discomfort that people experience in the form of performance anxiety or stage nerves, whatever you call it, is a form of I habitually slip out of presence with the music, and that causes anxiety because now I can tell that what I'm doing is not really in my control, and what I'm doing is not really a full expression of what I have to give. It's a partial expression that I'm holding back. And when we hold back, there's fear, and immediately fear starts to snowball, and we're, before you know it, not feeling so good about being on stage. So that's both. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's kind of the core of my approach, is to address that problem. That's not a problem that I've invented. That's a problem that many people experience as instrumentalists who work on this instrument. That's an issue that many people encounter. What I try to do is work with people on really taking a mindful approach to what's really going on there, because it's not random, it's not out of our control. It just feels like it is. It just feels like, if we don't have the tools, if we've never really cultivated the art of practicing, then it can feel like this just happens to me out of the blue whenever I get in front of an audience. It's not really how it works. There are, I mean, that can be how it works, but that's not how it has to work. There are approaches, and there are methodologies and pretty simple things we can do to alleviate that, and to really utilize the instrument as a form of meditation that gives us useful feedback every single moment of the time that we're at it. And that's what really excites me about it, because so clearly then the instrument and our spiritual practice, our spiritual life, become kind of one thing. It becomes, I've spoken about this before. My piano teacher talks about music as a path of devotion. That becomes really evident, really crystal clear, and very, very obviously evident when we start to engage the process in that way. So this is just, I feel like I'm pitching my own piano teaching, which I kind of am, but not really. That wasn't the purpose of this post. The purpose of this post was I kind of had an epiphany about why piano is such a great kind of meditation, and what it offers that silent meditation doesn't necessarily always offer. Again, you wouldn't want to replace one with the other, but they both perform really significant functions. I actually think piano practice will then help evoke that same sense of presence in certainly what it does for me. It evokes that same level of heightened awareness in my silent practice. So that's what was coming through today, folks. I've definitely got a growing enthusiasm for teaching music in this way and playing music in this way, and finding folks who resonate with that. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.